Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back to the show. It's all about savoring life with Diana, and we're here with our life coach, our speaker, our author, and she's really working with so many as a burn through catalyst coach and helping you get to where you want, helping you get what you want, and in doing so, changing your life and making you feel so much better, right? Elevating life, I should say. How are you today, darling?
I am doing fabulous, Jill. It's really great to be back. Missed you last week.
I know. I'm glad everyone's okay. You know what happens, right? Some of us get sick, our kids get sick, and it's always good to see you. And I gotta tell you something from, I'm always jealous. You're in Hawaii living this great life with weather. Well, I'm in New York. I know it's cold, but we finally have snow. And because of MLK Day, the kids are off, so they've been sleigh riding today. So I gotta brag a little bit about our weather because if we're going to live in cold, I say you better at least have snow, not just the cold. So I'm excited about
Yes.
that, and
Yeah.
excited that you're here again. And as a speaker, as a coach, just tell us a little bit about yourself before we dive into today's episode of The Gift of Falling Apart.
Yeah. So I do keynote speeches and I also do coaching to help high-performing leaders who want to avoid burnout and reclaim their time and energy so that they can focus on their health, their relationships, their personal life without without letting themselves down in terms of their goals or letting down the people who are counting on them.
And you do this each and every day of your life. And I love, she shared her backstory with us. And I think a lot of us all had same type of trauma, same type of chaos. And next thing you know, how do you get through it? But you do. And sometimes you don't have that guidance, that extra hand to help. And that's basically where she comes in as that cheerleader to walk with you, walk the talk with you, and to get you through anything. So how do we contact you if we do want to reach out to you on social media and your website?
Yeah, so my social media handles are Diana Bejasa Speaks. So that's DianaBejasa Speaks, Speaks. You can find my website. It's www.savor, Savor, Life with Diana. And yeah, and that's a great way to schedule a consultation with me to talk a little bit more about what you're going through and how we can navigate it. I like to joke, I'm like the life coach for people who think that life coaching is fake.
Aw.
So that was me too.
Yeah, but she's the real deal and she's helping so many. So walk us through today's episode. Can't believe it's episode 18 already. And it's called The Gift of Falling Apart. So give us a little overview as to what we're going to be discussing today.
Yeah, today I want to shift our mindset about falling apart and when things don't go as planned. Similar to how we had, Jill, this schedule for talking about this last week, and then my life fell apart a little bit. My daughter didn't go to sleep for the night until 5:30 in the morning, which is normally when we wake up. So it was a little bit of every single plan I had for the day just falling apart. And I think that sometimes when that happens, especially when we're working towards goals, sometimes we just want to throw our hands up and say, oh, well, I guess things aren't going to work out my way. So that must mean that they're never going to work out or that it's not possible for them to work out. And I believe that what we want to have in those moments is a little bit more resilience. And instead of expecting everything to go our way, planning for the unexpected, planning for things to not work out exactly as we hoped. And when we have that attitude of, oh, okay, things are not working out how I expected, what if they could happen even better? That allows for us to still stay connected to our goals, to create a space where they can still happen versus feeling like, oh, well, it didn't work exactly according to my rigid plan, so that must mean that it can't happen. So I believe not looking at falling apart as an impetus for failure, but really looking at it as an opportunity for freedom.
Yeah. Which we all could use so much benefit from to break away from so much. Ugh. So it's hard to though disassociate because when you do feel you're falling apart, and I've been there, and I still go through it a lot lately, and you feel like you're failing. But tell us, we're not. Explain what's happening, and we have to go to this point in our lives in order to start going up that mountain again. I mean, I'm trying to explain it the way I try to tell myself, but I'm no expert. So tell me in your words.
Yeah. Um, I really do believe that falling apart is not failure. It's an opportunity for freedom. So I think a lot of times when we create these plans for ourselves, we think that we're the only ones in control of how things are going to unfold. And the reality is that we're not, we are creators. We do have an opportunity to create the goals and to achieve the life that we want to have. But what really matters here, the nuance, is that we're not simply creators, we're co-creators. So we don't create in a vacuum where everything is perfect and everything works out how we want. We co-create in the world with the randomness, with the universe, with God, whatever spiritual belief you may have there. We're not the only ones who get to decide how things work out. We have an effect on how things work out, but things rarely, if ever, some of the best things ever do not work out as planned. Can you think of anything, Jill, for yourself where you're like, oh man, that did not work out as I planned, but
My
you know, it actually
plan,
turned out better.
I don't know about better, but it's for a reason. I'll tell you that much. And
Mm.
my mom, so I had this great plan of becoming a mom all by myself and being a single parent by myself. And I got that far and I did it. I made it happen. I had the baby. And then 6 months later, my mom got diagnosed with lung cancer. But my plan was, well, I'm a single mom, but I got my mom, and my mom's going to be my full-time live-in nanny. I'm going to be able to work. I'm going to be able to support my kids. And she doesn't want to live with my father anymore. She hasn't been happy her whole life. She's miserable, wants divorce, but she doesn't get out. But now she has a reason to. She's going to live with me, this amazing life. And then slowly but surely, we're realizing it's not going to work out the way we thought. You know, the doctor gives her 6 months to a year and a half to live. And I'm like, what? Losing your mother? And now I'm like, wait, but now how am I going to function? You're supposed to be my out. And so here I am. Oh, 8 years later now, living without her. And it's, my plan was different. It changed. I can't say it's for the better, but it shows resilience in that I could still make it happen. Not doing what I thought I'd be doing. I'm not making as much money as I thought I'd be making. I'm not living where I want to live. I thought things would be different, but I'm happy and I love my kids. And then I had the other one. So I'm blessed. And yeah, I'm blessed, right? So I can't say if it was better or worse, but you don't know, right? But yeah,
Yeah.
but you get disappointed. You think things are going to be a certain way and they're not. And then it's like, well, I believe there's a reason for everything and there's a higher power above us making things like this happen. So if that resonates a little bit, sorry, I'll just keep talking. Just shut me up.
No, I love that. I love that you're right. Everything happens for a reason. And I guess my nuance there would be like, yeah, it all happens, and there can be a way that we can turn something that seems bitter into something that becomes better.
Yeah.
And of course, especially with losing your mom, like that's never something that any of us that we wish on anybody. And what a challenging thing to lose that experience of motherhood when you yourself are becoming
Mm-hmm.
a mom. And I hear you on like, just things in life not working out as we expect. But we can have two attitudes about that, right? And one thing I noticed about you, Jill, is that maybe, like you said, maybe the money's not exactly what you expected, or where you're living is not exactly where you expected. And I can relate to and understand all of those things. But I also bet that there are other ways that life didn't turn out as expected, that you're actually really grateful that they didn't, you know what I mean? Or that like there are lessons that you learn in life. I think about,
Mm-hmm.
for example, just thinking that I was going to have this great career as a chef and opening restaurants and doing it with, my husband at the time, and things not working out as I hoped, right? And what a loss that is. Um and I think that again, there's that opportunity for us to take losses, turn them into lessons, and to look at this opportunity as life inviting us to release the outdated roles, the expectations, and the plans that don't really align with the person that we're becoming. So when we have that discomfort of our plans not working out how we want, it's not punishment. I believe it's growth. I believe I think I've talked about it before, but I look at those things and I call them situations, because I believe that a lot of people look at that, right? Like there are people who've been through or experienced something similar to you, maybe not exactly what you've been through, but you hear them and all they do is complain about it. They complain about how their situation stinks. And it's like no matter what happens that could be good in their life, it's like they let that stink permeate everything. So nothing smells good. Nothing is worthwhile. And I believe that rather than looking at situations as something that we get, we stick our foot in and we can't ever get out of, I believe it looking at it as fertilizer for new growth.
Oh,
And it's
that's
all about a
beautiful.
change in perspective, right? Um, it's not about things being different. It's about looking at what you're stuck in, looking at what is all around you, what you got your feet into, and saying, okay, what if this manure is actually really fertile ground for me to create new growth? What if I have all of the resources to take what I've been through and to turn it into something better? What if I didn't have to let this turn me bitter and complaining that life is stinky? And I could say, wow, there are so many ways that my life worked out better than I expected. So maybe the circumstance is not better, right? Like getting divorced while you're pregnant is not better than having a partner who sticks through the whole thing with you, when that's what you choose. But at the same time, I feel like I was talking to my mom about it a couple days ago. Like our family all got closer as a result. I feel like the day that I wanted to commit suicide, when I realized that my ex was serious about divorce, I did die. And I died so that a better version of me could be born. And so I think that there are so many good things that can happen when it feels like a part of us dies, when it feels like there's a space for loss. Because is it when we're holding on to what no longer is there, like we're we're not really living in the present. And what we have in the present when we experience loss, when things don't work out as planned, is we have space to create new. We have space to create intentionally. And I think it's really about redefining failure, not looking at it as something that we should fear, but actually something that creates space for growth. It's about letting go of our plans that we've been clinging on to, or the identities that we are holding on to that no longer serve us. Um, and I think it's like I think about one of my clients, her name is Carmelita. She had all these business goals for the year that COVID happened. And she wanted, to expand her business, but at the same time, she felt a little stuck because she was, you know, it was COVID. And at the same time, she wanted more time with her kids. And like, one was going away to high school and the other was still like 5 years old. And she was like, I want more time with my kids, but I also want to grow my business and I don't know how to do all these different things. And in working together, I said, okay, well, what is it that you really want to create? Right. So we've talked a little bit about that in the past, is like, what do you want to make out of what you have? Like, what if it could turn out amazing? What if it could turn out even better than you expected? And when we allow for that to happen, for things to turn out even better than we thought, right? Like when I think I've told you before, Jill, but like when I re-envision, I'm like, okay, I thought I had a great marriage, but God must have an even better marriage for me.
Exactly.
And so if I'm gonna go for even better, let's make him, like Jason Momoa hot. Let's, like let him have
Yes.
his own like thriving business,
There's
and
gotta
there are
be
all
some.
these things,
Mhm.
that I really want. And there are things that like sometimes when we have certain circumstances, we kind of sacrifice what we want for what seems realistic, based on what we have. And I think that it's like, let's look at it with this intention or this opportunity to say, like, what if this could be not everything falling apart, but things falling together? So let's let go of what life created space for us to have, and start to look at, not controlling it, but really embracing this space that can look a little chaotic.
Oh my goodness. You got me thinking for the future because the other part of my whole thing was I was always single, right? And then I had the
Mhm.
baby, and then I've been in relationships since I had the babies and not working out. And I'm like, wow, and one of my biggest problems in my life, I'd say, maybe not a problem. It's just the way it's supposed to be is that I don't have someone. I'm always alone and single, but I feel like that's a sign. Maybe I'll be 50 by the time that happens, but it's just everyone's plan is different. Is going to be something amazing for me because I deserve love. I have love for my kids. If I don't have love from another man, I made the men to have the love and I have it. Right. So I
Yeah.
can't complain, but I still want that romantic type of love. But wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. You look for everything happens for a reason. And here you are smiling. And if you think about your situation where you were just what, 2 years ago or longer, I
Mm.
mean, like you,
Yeah.
night and day, right? I'm sure you weren't smiling like this, but and it happens to everyone. By the way, there was an article that popped up on my news break today about Maria Shriver. Maria
Mm.
Shriver was open and honest talking about her ups and downs in life. One of the biggest was the fact that she found that her husband, Arnold Schwarzenegger, fathered a child with her maid, let alone other multiple, bouts of infidelity. But that's gotta sting. That's gotta hurt. But she talked about
Yeah.
how she survived. Like my mom died. I thought I couldn't do it. Then my dad died. Then my husband fathered a child, and she's alive and well and happy. So someone who's been through the muck, she rises from the top, and it's just a beautiful little story that she did an interview with someone, and I was like, wow, yeah,
Yeah. That is
gotta
beautiful. And
get you
it's like,
down.
and again, there are people who have not the same exact circumstances because everybody's situation is always
Hmm.
different, but they're like life's challenges are not unique to us. Other people have, the challenges of being a single mom, of longing for a relationship, of dealing with infidelity, of wanting the promotion and not getting it. And sometimes we can feel alone in that. And what I believe is that there's space for us to really look for that opportunity to connect what we have to something even bigger. Um, and yeah, like those people who have had those things and like I'm sure you know them, Jill, like the people who've maybe not had the relationship that they wanted yet, right? And they end up bitter and they end up just complaining for their whole life about what they don't have. And then there are people who don't have that either and who don't stink of bitterness, of having a situation type life, who don't seem stuck in a big pile of crap. And it's
Yeah,
so much about our attitude through it. And for me, it was also about like creating my empowering story instead of creating a victim story, right? So we can't control what happens to us, but we can control how we allow it to shape us, right? So for example, with everything that happened for me with my marriage, I decided to tell myself like I've been freed. He freed me so that I could have better, right? Um, he empowered me, right? Like so, rather than making it this story about, oh, look, woe is me, look at what I've lost, look at how hard my life is. It's like this person equipped me. There's that Ariana Grande song where she talks about exes and what just the challenges that she had with them, and like the song is called "Thank You Next." And I think that is such a powerful perspective to have when it comes to the challenges or things not working out as we wanted. Like how do we find the lessons in that, right? Because when we think we have control, right, we're seeking that because we think it keeps us safe, but it's really what's holding us back. And when we let go of this control, we're not giving up, we're actually growing up. We're learning to trust that we're going to find our way, right? Like Jill, you and me, we've survived 100% of our worst days. Every day that we did not think that we could do it, every day that we did not think that it was possible to keep going, we kept going. And we've survived. And that matters so much more than all the times that we didn't, right? Or that we thought that we couldn't. How many times has it been that you literally thought you couldn't? You have 100% track record. So again, when we look at this desire to control, we got to see that the opposite of control is not chaos. there's another
Yes.
option there, right? It's not just those two things. The other opportunity here is co-creation. So maybe our
Mm.
plans fail, but that doesn't mean that we will. That plan is not us. And I think a lot of times we get caught up thinking that that plan is us, or even really creating plans around what we think other people, like what other people have told us we're supposed to want, like more money or this
Yeah.
home or this sort of life and those things. And I do think though that there's that space to really look at it and say like, no, 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 that is really something I want. So like Jill, what I'm hearing from you, for example, is like you really do want the romantic relationship. Like it is something you, yes, you have your the love from your boys, but like you really want the romantic relationship. Like there is something
Yes.
about that that matters to you. So
Yes.
that's, again, that's like we don't want to give up on that, right? We want to believe and trust that that's possible, but we also don't want to settle.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, right, like we're so desperate or like desiring of the thing that we want that like we're willing to take less because it's a fraction of what we deserve. And I
Hmm.
kind of think of it as like the universe giving us options to say, like, will you settle for this? And every time we say no, I want this, we're being clear.
Yeah.
And we're, I think that's not trying to control, that's saying like this is what I deserve and this is what I want. And so a lot of times, right, like with my client, Carmelita, I told her, I was like, dream big. Like, what if everything could work out how you want? What would it look like in the end? Um, and she saw this picture of herself like traveling with her kids and just having this really amazing relationship with them and not feeling stressed about her business because she knew back home who was taking care of everything. So she was able to really like not just enjoy time with her family, but to be fully present for time with her family. And so as we started to take steps in that direction that she really wanted to go in, there were times where it felt like she was letting go of control, right? Because so for her to have the business where she could walk away and spend time with her kids, that meant that she couldn't be the only one who was looking at every aspect of the business. She had to trust other people, right? So there's all these opportunities that we get to learn to trust, to let go of control, to realize that like letting go of what we don't want, we're not giving up on something. We're creating space for what we really want. And that's how
Yeah.
we take something that looks like a breakdown, right? Like COVID, like a unexpected death, like a, unexpected divorce, infidelity, surviving trauma, health issues, whatever that looks like, whatever that breakdown looks like, that's how we take that and turn it into something better.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. And I love it because I feel like we are on our path, we are on our journey, we're here. And if you're listening to this, this is you. This can be you. This is your life. This is next for you. It can be possible. We're going to get you through by listening to us, by talking here with Diana. I mean, it is possible. And I just want you to know that and feel that there's hope because there really is, right? And
Yeah.
some people just could have doubts, could have, no, just reach out to Diana, call her, random stranger, but not really. Call her.
Yeah.
And you say from breakdowns to something better, right? That's what's next.
Yeah. Um, yes, and we're not strangers because, you can listen to my
Yes.
story, you can, check out, look through the podcast business news networks, like search for my name. You'll be able to find the episodes. You'll get to hear this story. So you'll know about me and what we've been through and the perspectives that I've had that I think, like, we were saying, like so many people go through tough stuff. It's not something that makes us unique, but what is unique is to take that and to not let it stop us, to turn it into something that other people are like, wow, how did you do that? And they think that you have this like paved road of like everything perfect. And it's like, no, I made it happen in the middle of doing it as a single mom. I made it happen with chronic illness. I made it happen with autoimmune disease. I made it happen with all these things. And I made it happen better than I ever imagined it could. So when we look at breakdowns and see them not as failures, but as signposts, detours that take us maybe down a better path, take us, like that's how
Yeah.
we kind of like instead of resisting it, right? Like being mad about it, we're like, okay, there must be something else on this path for me to explore, right? So what if that falling apart isn't us falling backwards, but actually clearing the way, right? Like a lot of times, we see something breaks down, it doesn't work out how we thought, and we like lament what's lost. And it's like, what if that obstacle was just cleared? Because like when I look at it, when I know myself, like there was no way that I would have given up on my marriage. I wouldn't have. I would have fought tooth and nail, but it was realizing it had to be that bad for me to realize, no, I have to let this go. This is God telling me to let go. And so, yeah, it was absolutely a detour. It was not, I never expected to be a single mom. I never thought I could do this, but I believe every detour, every delay, every no is part of a bigger yes that's really waiting for us. So when we reframe failure as redirection, when we look at opportunities, right? Look for the unexpected, right? So it's like, I think of it like, okay, it didn't work out your way. Open up your eyes. Look for, okay, what good is there out there for me? There must be a reason I've been redirected on this other path. What is there for me to discover here? And so many times it's about embracing that our progress isn't linear. It's how we gain clarity and how we let go of what that doesn't really serve us. So looking at breakdowns, looking for what it teaches us, looking through the lens of what if this could lead to my breakthrough? That's how we realize that a breakdown isn't a dead end, it's a detour, and it's going to lead us to something better. So it's really the universe's way of clearing the path for us, right? It's the universe's way of bringing us what we want. And I think that if we allow it, again, challenge is not unique to us, but taking that and turning it into something powerful, like I tell my clients when we work together, we'll work through one challenge, but the lesson that you'll learn and how to do that will serve you for life. You'll be able to do that no matter what comes your way. So when we fall apart, it's not the end.
No, it's not. There's
No.
room for what's yet to come, and it's just making that room and fall apart. But you're gonna crumble, but you're gonna build it right back up, and you're gonna be like, "How the heck did I do this? How is it possible?" But it is possible. Diana, we unfortunately have to wrap up your show, and it's always a pleasure having you here. Last thoughts for the session?
Yeah. Look at this opportunity to let go of what you think you can control because it's an illusion, and look for the opportunities and the guidance and the new surprises that life has for you. Because if life worked out according to your plan, it simply would be boring. So allow it to be an adventure. If life took you on a detour, look for that adventure, for the unexpected, for the fun, for the discovery, because those are some of the ways that we can really best save our life.
Beautiful. Thank you again so much. One more time, the website, and we're just going to Google you. Tell us how.
Yeah, so savorlifewithdiana.com, SAVOR lifewithdiana, or you can go to Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Diana Bejasa Speaks, DianaBejasa Speaks.
Back to TikTok. Woohoo! It's up and running. Thank you so much. Pleasure having you here as always, and we'll chat again next week. Thanks, sweetheart. Bye-bye.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the mytuner-radio, online radio box, and simpleradio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.